Hey guys, this is Mike here. Today I would like to show you how to clean up motion capture data in Source Filmmaker. So right now, I've got the lighting sort of set up how I want it to be in my film, but working in it right. It's currently a little too dark, so I'll just quickly show you how to fix that. Basically, I'm going to select my main camera here, which is this guy, and click on it, and then click on the motion editor right here, this middle guy, and then if everything is not selected like that, hit Control A and select everything, and then just go over here to Tone Map Scale, and you can turn that up or down however you'd like. I'm going to turn it up to about that level. It's sort of a good brightness for working. Now I'm going to bring this back down for my final shot, but just to make it easier to see what I'm doing and working, I'm going to make it bright. And I like to work in the work camera here, which you can see that the work camera is still dark. If you click on this, you can switch between the two cameras, and if you hold Control and click on it, it copies that camera to the work camera. So now the work camera is nice and bright, and you can see pretty much what I'm doing here. And that's actually maybe a little bit too bright. How about right there is good. Alright. So basically what we got going on here is I've got this sequence in which these two are at a restaurant, and he's being a sort of a gentleman and helping her sit, but she's sort of clumsy and falls down. So I recorded and processed some motion capture using Ippysoft, and brought that into the Source Filmmaker, and then adjusted that on the timeline how I wanted and set them up. And once you import the motion capture, you'll see all the motion capture here in your motion editor, and you can actually you can hold Alt, and when you're holding Alt you can drag that around and get the correct timing you want. I'm just going to hit Control Z and undo that, because I've already set that up. And as for positioning, you just got to use the main root bone, and then you can just move it around wherever you want. Because once you import the motion capture data, your models will be oriented at the origin of the map. So yeah, you'll want to get them positioned up correctly and rotated, and set the timing to match how you want. And so that's how you do that. And so let's watch this scene here. Basically, see, he pulls out the chair from under her, and with this motion capture, came out pretty well, but we've got a few obvious problem areas. You can see that his hand on his left hand is not matching up with the chair correctly when he's pulling it, and I went through and corrected his right hand here, and so his right hand is correct, but his left hand is not correct. You're also going to notice that this girl's leg is going to pop and go crazy when she falls, and her leg should be sort of locked to that same place there. So I'm going to look basically at how to fix the arm, and then we'll fix the leg real quick if we got time. I don't want to create too long of a video, so let's get to fixing the arm. So to fix the hand, basically when you first have your model, it's just going to look like this, right? It's going to be a default skeleton, and the default skeleton is really hard to work with, so it's nice to add in a rig, which will give you inverse kinematics, so you can drag around the hands and stuff, and that makes things a lot easier to work with. So this girl currently doesn't have a rig, and her name's Purcell in our film, so I'm just going to call her Purcell from now on, and the guy is named Bill, so I'm going to call him Bill. And so yeah, Purcell needs a rig, so you can really add this at any time you'd like, and you just go under right click, rig menu, and then go rig biped simple, and that creates a rig, and now she is all rigged up and ready to go. And if I try moving her now, it's just gonna add keyframes, which is not what I want to do. And we're focusing right now on Bill, so let's get to Bill. And so basically what we want to do here is this hand part right here, we're going to want to manually keyframe, but we're going to want to keep the motion of everything else that's going on. So basically, to do that, your first intuition might be just to go to the frame you want it, and then to move that to where you want, right? And so I did that, and that kind of worked. But now you're going to find out that once I move it to the next position I want, you know, like say right here, it doesn't always work. It's not doing basically what I'm trying to show you, but sometimes it will. Yeah, but basically what's happened is between all these keys, it's deleted basically all that imported motion, and sometimes it still keeps a little bit of it, but most of it's basically gone. I want to undo all that. Show you how we should do it. So I'm going to grab our right hand here, and look like right about here is we could even I'm going to say right here on my left hand is where I want to start keyframing. So get that timed up. I'm just going to hit M on my keyboard. That's going to create a keyframe there, and then I'm going to scroll forward, and what am I going to do? I'm going to get that lined up at the same time. Actually, it's right here when it's lowered, so we'll switch back here, and I'm going to just position that right there on the chair, and then rotate that a bit. And now you're starting to see the problem here. So once I started rotating this, at the bottom here you can see all those curves changing. That's not what we want. We want to keep all the original data, so I'm going to undo that. Alright, and then I'm going to click right here, and then sort of go to the end of my motion right when it raises up. I'll just do it on the same keyframe, and I'm just going to hit M and lock in a keyframe there. And now basically all this data past this keyframe will be exactly how it was, and all this data before the keyframe will be exactly how it was. But as you can see, all this data here is now just tween between this keyframe and this keyframe, and so all that motion capture data is now gone. and so in this section we're just going to hand key. So now we can go in and move our hand to where we want it, and it's sometimes just easier to do with the axis manipulator. And I like to, you know, use the orbit mode while I'm animating a lot, so I can pivot around that joint. And so position wise we're looking pretty good, and I like to use the universal manipulator here a lot for rotating joints. And we'll have to go back in here and sort of more adjust the hand with the fingers manually later, but for right now, you know, let's see what we can see, how good we can get it looking without adjusting the fingers at all. So right there, that is locked on, and now you see it tunes to there and lifts up, and just play that back a few times and see how that looks. And yeah, we want that to be locked with the chair, so I'll go back to the same one here where we're still locked, and then switch back over, and now move that in here at the end. I'm actually going to click this one that I previously made and hit Control C to copy and hit Control V to paste it. That way I can just maintain the same rotation, and then really all I gotta do is just sort of move it back here and maybe just slide it over a little bit, and so it's the same rotation and everything. And so that was really easy to get set up. And now if we play it, you can see that that motion kind of doesn't follow the chair exactly. It kind of slides into it, and it's kind of floaty, you know. So that's basically because of these curves that are generated, which are basically the interpolation tangents. So I'm going to click this guy here. I'm going to do a flat tangent, which that just sort of levels out that curve right there, and also do a flat tangent here at the end, and so that makes it all real nice and level, so that's not quite as floaty. And I'm going to see what I did on this other hand here is that I move the hand over and then I lower it down onto the chair, which gives a better look here. So I'm going to just copy this keyframe again, move to about right here basically, and paste that and lift it up, right, and maybe just move it just a little bit over. And now let's play that. Okay, so now you can see I'm going to click something else to basically get rid of all those things in the view, so we can get a better idea of how this is looking. And you see it now, that's a lot better, and it fits with the chair and blends in perfectly to the rest of that motion capture data without destroying it at all. So basically with the motion capture data, we don't want to have to hand key everything, so we want to save some time. But definitely knowing how to hand key and being able to do that is going to help you improve that information a lot. And then you can also always decide, you know, camera angle wise, you know, what's going to be shown in full and if something's not really going to be seen and it looks alright from the other places, you don't have to fix it. So like in this, I'm probably not going to have the camera looking directly at with his feet in a shot, so it's probably not going to be a high angle shot like this. Right, my camera is probably going to be a more sort of telescopic lens here. It's probably going to be positioned more like that. And then it's gonna probably move in a bit, or just I'll use a cut to change the angle of it so we can get a better view of her once she falls. But yeah, I'm not gonna do any over the head cameras. While I'm working though, I like to keep it sort of wide angle so I can get right in there, way close up without much difficulties. And so we've got that going on, and we got a few other problems here, like her hand cutting into the floor there, and with her hand cutting into the floor, that's something I could fix another way. So I'll show you how to fix that. Basically, I'm going to select a region of time. Wrong shot. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to select a region of time on here where her arm is in the ground. So we'll go to the start right here. Alright, that's the start. So if you hold shift and then you drag it on here, you can select a region of time. And so right to about there. And then also, while you're still holding shift, use the scroll wheel and you can basically get these things going out, which will blend it into the pre-existing motion. And so with this, we've done this. This doesn't give you as much control as manually keyframing does. It sort of just mixes. It's like a motion mixer. When you're working with multiple joints, can get really tricky, because the second you do something and then switch a bone, it's just applied to the motion. There's no way to adjust that after the fact. So usually I like working with keyframes, but for this it's pretty simple. We're just raising this up and not really doing that much. So yeah, basically with our selection of time selected, we just want to raise this up here and then sort of rotate it so her hand is on the ground, and at about there. And you can see that doesn't like really perfectly lock it, and so we still might want to actually raise it a little bit more so there's less cutting in to the ground. And then you can also see that now that gave me some wicked crazy like weird twisting, which is not what we want. So sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. In this case it does not work, so that's something we're going to go in there and hand key, just like I showed you with Bill's arm. So I'm going to hit escape here, and it's going to go back to its original motion, and I'll fix that later. For now, let's address this leg here. So addressing the leg, so it's like right there, it's good. Let's select the foot and hit M, so that's where it's good, bad, 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 and good. Okay, so we did that right there. Even just that tweening between those two things fixed that up a lot. But we're gonna sort of use this other leg here as reference. So there's it sort of just kicks out a little bit, like right there. I think it would kick out the most. And so right there, I'm just gonna move that out a bit, sort of like that, and I'm gonna sort of more or less, when you copy and paste keyframes, it makes it sort of easier to lock your feet here. And the timing of that, like, that doesn't really feel much like a kick. So the keyframes are real nice because you can just easily adjust everything and the timing of it. And let's make that sort of more dramatic. Oh, yeah, that was a pretty good kick. So yeah, she just fell onto her butt, and so kicks out. And so where's her foot land? I think the foot should actually sort of bounce off the ground here. So let's go like right. So a good kick there, and then maybe a fall. So let's bring that down until it starts intersecting. Rotate that a little bit. So kick, fall. Kick, fall, and it should just bounce quickly up, right? And maybe like right there. Alright, so that's looking better. Right, so now her leg is kicking out and then bounces, and then she jerks it back in and tries to get situated. I think that looks a lot better. It's not 100% perfect, but we might not even see that depending on my camera angle. Especially because she's going to talk about how she broke her shoes, and I don't really want to show her shoes, because if I do, like, I want the shoes to be high heels, and those kinds of shoes that she's currently wearing aren't likely to easily break. So I don't really want to show her her shoes at all, but if we can get that leg motion, like just looking at the leg motion, cropping out the shoes, looks pretty good. And there's also a problem where once she sits here, she kind of sinks into the floor a bit, and that can hopefully be easily adjusted in the motion editor here. So I'm just gonna try and get this whole scene fit here, and go back over the motion editor, and let's look at where her butt's cutting through the floor. So let's say it's like maybe right around there, maybe. That was not what I wanted to do. There's some hotkey that I keep on doing, which moves the timeline around, which is not what I want to do. So right about, was it right about there? There we go. Right about there to about right there. And we're just gonna move that up. Alright. And there you go. Butt would probably compress and squish just a little bit, so maybe like right there. And see, yeah, that looks better. You can adjust the tweening in and the tweening out. Usually you don't need to tween out too much, it looks kind of weird. So that looks alright. And yeah, as you can see, there's still more cleaning up that needs to be done, especially with their hands and their head. It's all sort of a similar process, and it's not difficult. You just gotta take a look and examine your motion and look at what's weird, and then go to fix that, and try not to damage the good motion. And so yeah, that is how you clean up motion capture data to make your film look better. Thank you for watching.